Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock, and this is City of Heroes soloing the Stalker. We're 35th level. We have 668,000 XP to go to get to 36th level. We've gotten our next new power, and I'll talk about that in a minute. And I've just gotten a story arc from Garden Stacy, which is the Revenant Hero project. So this, I think, is going to lead us up against a bunch of Paragon Protector Cray. So these guys are a pain, and I don't think, no matter how I enhance them, I don't think I'm going to want to stand there and fight them when they're under Moment of Glory. I think I'm just going to leave and let it fade. Because you can't hit. Um, I've done some missions. I also did, I didn't bring you guys back for it because it's a single mission, but I did the mission where you get the Doctor's Ally badge. So this is a single mission that has a title to it, and when you go and help the doctor, who is an AI inside Cray, and you learn the truths about the Cray, and you get this badge. It's one of these, like the jeweler, or whatever it is. There are a couple of these where if you run this particular mission successfully, you get a badge for it. And there are like 4 or 5 of these that I know of in the game, and this is one of them. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to start, and I'll talk about my plan for this character and the hopefully the way we're going to get into doing +2 um, missions so that we can fight +3s without misstreaks. And so I'm going the wrong way. So we'll talk about that. So at level 35, at that point the epic pool powers are unlocked. They might have been unlocked before and I didn't pay attention because I wasn't looking for them. But I really thought long and hard about. So there is a dark mastery which shoots like an AoE ranged cone. I thought about that because we want a ranged attack for the runners, but I didn't like the rest of that pool. I'm probably going to go with the energy, which gives us the endurance boosting stuff because you can never have too much endurance. But also in there you have the I beams. But the opening power, one of the opening powers, of course, is focused accuracy, which gives you much better chance to hit when it's running. It really eats endurance, so you've got to put some endurance reducers on it. So it takes some slots, and we're already still a little bit slot poor. We're going to need a few more levels with 3 slots per level to get where we need to go. So that would have to be slotted anyway in order to really be useful. Because the first slot's going to probably have to be endurance reduction on it. And you're going to also probably want some to hit boost and so forth. It's a toggle, and it's a very energetically expensive one. So I very seriously considered it, but I chose instead Midnight Grasp. So let's take a look. We now have Midnight Grasp, and I put an accuracy on it. So I thought about this and how am I going to deal with the +3s and the misstreaks that I hate so much. And here's what I'm thinking of doing. I'm thinking of ripping this out and putting another accuracy on it. Obviously, build-up will have triple recharge, so it'll recharge in a minute and 45 seconds. I'm also planning on ripping this recharge out of Siphon Life, so we're going to take the recharge off these guys. That means that this will now recharge every 3 seconds instead of 2 1/4, which should be fine. This will now recharge every 10 seconds instead of every 7.5, but with Midnight Grasp, which recharges every 15 seconds, right? With that extra power in there, I think we should have enough in our in our attack chain with all these powers. We should have something up at all times. Oh wait, Siphon Life, no, I wasn't going to rip the recharge out of that. I was going to just put another accuracy and then 2. I want to keep the recharge on this one because that's our heal. So this one will get a second accuracy. It won't get a recharge, triple damage, and an endurance reducer. This one will get a second accuracy, no recharge, triple damage, and the endurance reducer. Now I'm a little annoyed that it's going to be accuracy, endurance, accuracy, but as long as I keep the damages together, it won't bother my OCD too much. I like keeping the enhancement types grouped, as you can see. We're also going to probably want another accuracy on disrupt, but that'll be that. Like, this is not a priority power because I don't use it that much. I do want to enhance it, but right now we want to get energize increased. I don't think we need any more with energy drain because it's done fine with just these two. We're going to keep it that way and just put IOs on it. All these powers are done, at least for now. At some point, if I want to put a set on it, we might need more slots, but that's going to happen way in the late 40s. Not an issue now. So my plan is to have double accuracy on this, this, and this. And then these will be our go-to. Shadow Punch, Siphon Life, and Midnight Grass will be our go-to if we see a lot of mist streaks. Now that might mean that I'm going to want to group them. But I'm not going to do that yet, because this one still recharges the fastest, so I like the fastest recharge one on the left because you're going to hit it the most. But we'll see how it goes. So that's the plan. And so next level we'll get. Let's see. We have the accuracy to put on this, but we're going to need a slot on this for another accuracy and a slot on this. So next level slot probably. We'll add the extra accuracies at 36. We'll then move up to +2s. And I'm going to try to stay on it, at least for a whole level, and see how it goes, even if it's aggravating me. That does mean that we probably won't have to face the Paragon Protectors at +3. And they'll be really annoying. I mean, like, again, it's not that you can't do it. The question is it annoying? Oh, and I do want to show you guys Midnight Grasp, so let's zoom in here. There we go. Let's show you Midnight Grasp. I'll open with that one. Well, after I assassinate, but I'll open with that so you can see it. So we need to find the project lock file. If we wanted, we could stalk this mission, but obviously we want to see how we do with our new power. I have played with it a little bit. Alright, so we'll assassinate this person, then we'll Midnight Grasp her. So here's how it goes. You hit them, and it missed. Of course it missed! Why does the game always make me miss when I'm trying to demonstrate something to my viewers? It's like it's listening to me. You see how they both attacked me at the same time there? That's what happened to Silver Phoenix that caused her to die. Alright, so Midnight Grasp. Alright, so he is now immobilized. Right, so he can shoot me. He's not held, but he's immobilized. So that should help against runners. And these guys have super reflexes, so they can be hard to hit. You see 75% to hit, but I don't know if that's too much worse than a typical +2 enemy. %90 to hit, and I rolled a 96. Thank you, game. So yeah, we may also want to carry more yellows. That can also help. I think absolutely at 38 we will get focused accuracy, so that will also help. Look at all the missing. So I guess 75 is the base. I guess those guys weren't using super reflexes. It's just 75% because of the level difference. Okay, these guys are the worst because they debuff your to hit and your defense. So we'll take them out first, then we'll go medic because he can heal the other guys, but he can't res them the way the geneticist can. And then we'll take this guy out with a Midnight Grasp and that. Yeah, Midnight Grasp does really good damage. When it's triple damage, it's going to be almost as good as an Assassin Strike. It's going to be really powerful. That is a great power as well. And since the last guy in a spawn usually is the runner, we should be able to root the runner so they don't run away, like for the freak show and stuff. Now this guy is going to taunt me. Well, he might. Yeah, he didn't live long enough. I remember, I don't know if I was playing I don't know if I was playing, I think it was Nightmare Lass. Excuse me. Still got a bit of a cold or allergy or something. That was Nightmare Lass, where I had targeted an enemy, I sent my minions at him, then I targeted another enemy and I was going to do something to him, and it was like, nope, taunted over her head. I didn't realize it, but one of the enemies had taunted her and she couldn't attack the target that I wanted to hit. It was really interesting. Again, something as a stalker you may not face much, because even if she taunts me this one, you see that? 47% to hit. Now, I don't know how much of that was the radiologist's debuff, 58 against him, and how much of it was her super reflex. But yeah, the radiologists are bad because they debuff your defense as well as your to hit, and they've got you so debuffed that you can't hit them to take them out to turn their darn debuff off. Another radiologist. I'm actually going to prioritize this guy because their debuff is annoying. So we'll take him out, and then we will have to... Oh, I guess I didn't have to fight her. She didn't see me, but that's fine. We'll punch her a bunch, and then we'll placate, and then we'll assassinate. Yeah, stalkers are just so much fun to play because you can just decide how you want to run the battle and just run it that way. Hopefully with Midnight Grasp we will reduce the amount of running, and we might be able to finally pull this off the hotbar. I hate having that on there, mostly because it's taking up a slot that I could put something else on there for. So oh, we missed this guy. I didn't even realize he was here. Yeah, okay. Crisis unit. I'm just looking to see if this is a Cray protector, because those are the guys that bring out the force fields. And my strategy with them is going to be the same as the Paragon protectors, which is goodbye, I'll see you later when the force field turns off. But like, I'm not interested in standing there and missing 17 times in a row. So, and I think tactically it's foolish to just stand there when you know they are unhittable and they can hit you back. Like the Nemesis, when they go intangible, they can't hit me either. So you can just sit there and wait. But with the Cray protectors and the Paragon protectors, when they go into Moment of Glory or they pop the bubble, right, the force field, when they do that, they floor you essentially, 20% to hit, whatever. You cannot hit them, but they can hit you. So it's tactically foolish to stand in there and keep swinging at them when you're taking return fire and you can't hit them back. At that point, like, if I've been playing a lot of tactical war games, right? If I get into a situation where I know that the enemy stack can hit my stack, but I can't hit them back, I get out of there. I don't engage in the battle because it doesn't make sense, right? That's the whole thing the military tries to do in any army, right? Any general tries to do. You try to put yourself in a position where you can hit the enemy and they can't equally hit you back. And if you get into a situation where it's bad, you retreat. Like, you don't stay there, because then you lose the battle. Now, I'm not going to lose the battle against the Paragon protectors, probably, but to me it's foolish to stand there and take return fire when you cannot hit. So, alright, so now what I want to do here is go up, because upstairs there are usually guys, and when you get into a fight down there, these guys will see it. But the guys downstairs probably won't see this. So now all these other tank-like guys, the Eliminator, the Crisis Unit, the tanks, those guys don't generally do the force field. You're going to come over here, because I don't want the guys downstairs to see you. And then we're going to beat you up. Then we're going to go back under hide, and then we'll go downstairs and fight the guys downstairs. Again, I love this about Stalkers. Most other characters probably couldn't do it because you'd be seen. Alright, there's an elevator here. This is a dead end. Is there anything else? Oh no, we got the other whole side. Alright, so we're going to click that elevator. We know we still have to take that. And we'll wait for build up since it's almost there. By the way, the timer That is an option in Homecoming. I think Rebirth has that option now too. That was not available, I don't think, in the original game. I think that's something that Homecoming added. It certainly wasn't available when I started to play in 2004. And this guy didn't hear me, so we'll just take him out too. Okay, so that's that. We don't need to go over there now. We need to go the other side. So we're looking for Project Lock. And this is the file that's going to tell us. So what Cray is doing is they're saying they're going to provide security forces to help against villains and Richty and stuff to the city, but what they're actually doing is taking hapless victims and turning them into brainwashed Paragon protectors with experimentation and stuff. And in fact, one of my characters, I can't remember which one, but one of my characters was actually a Cray who got messed with, and she escaped the lab. Yeah, I think it was a scrapper who they were trying to turn into a Paragon protector, and she escaped the lab and became an actual hero instead of a Cray fake hero that's actually a villain. Right? They tell you they're heroes. They tell the city they're heroes, but they're actually villains brainwashed under the Cray command. 95 to hit, roll to 97. So just to explain, I don't remember if I've explained this, the way the game works. 95 is the cap. No matter how many bonuses you have, you can only get to 95%. Rolling a 95.01 or above is a crit fail, and you automatically miss. The minimum you can have to hit, and that's called the ceiling, by the way, the 95. The minimum you can have to hit is a 5%. Anything you roll between 0.1 and 0.50 is between 0.001 and 0.500 is an automatic hit. It's a critical hit, essentially. It doesn't do a crit, but it's an auto hit, right? It's like rolling an automatic success in, like rolling a 3 in Champions. 3 automatically hits, 18 automatically misses, and that's probably where they got it from. So that 5% will always hit if you roll under a 5. That's called the floor, right? That's the minimum chance to hit. So when a villain has reduced your chance to hit so low that only a 1 to 5 will hit, that is called being floored. Right? They floored you. They've got you. This is 5%. So now how does that work? So hang on, I got to pause here. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. We're back. Okay, so it's more complicated than this. But when you're figuring out what you're going to hit or not, whether you're going to hit or not, you're going to use, again, with realizing that the final number cannot be bigger than 95 or lower than 5, right? You're going to multiply accuracy. Essentially, this is not perfect, and you can look up the details, but you're going to multiply accuracy times your base to hit plus your any 2 hit buffs minus the target defense. Okay? So, if you don't have any accuracy enhancements on your powers, and you're facing a +0, your base to hit is 75, right? The target by default has no defense, and you by default have no 2 hit buff, right? And so that means that your chance to hit is going to be 75%. right, times 1. Now let's imagine we use build up. Build up plus 20% to hit, right? So let's do the math on that. Our accuracy is 1, right? We haven't enhanced anything, times our base to hit against an even level mob is 75 plus 20 minus their defense is 0 if it's just some clockwork or something, right? That would give us 95, right? So a single this with everything else being equal and no accuracy enhancements and no other buffs or debuffs or anything like that, you'd be capped. You'd be at the ceiling. Right? Now, this is modified by about 10% per level. So we're fighting oranges. Our base to hit against these guys would be about 55. Okay? So our base to hit against them would be 55. Because that would be without any enhancements. Now let's add an accuracy SO. It's 33%, right? So if we have our accuracy of 33%, it's 1.33 times, right? Our base to hit against these guys is 75. Whoops, 50 is 55, something like that. Plus, we don't have any 2-hit buffs running. Minus, let's say they don't have any defense, right? So it's 1.33 times 55, right? And just to make sure I do this correctly, although I should be able to do it in my head, we'll do it on a calculator. That's 73.5. What do we have? 75%. So I'm rounding things off, but yeah. So that tells you they have no defense buffs and we have no 2-hit buffs going, right? So now you have to be careful with this because accuracy is good, but it's multiplying the final number in here. So now what happens against Circle of Thorns? I've got my 1.33, right? Times my base to hit against a +1 circle, 65, right? Don't have any 2-hit buffs, but they debuff me, right? They debuff me by 30 points, right? So now I'm doing 1.33 times 35, which gets me to like a 47. That's why the debuffs hurt so much. The accuracy can help, but because you're multiplying by the number inside the parentheses, if they've got a whole bunch of debuffs or defense buffs running, if they can drop you to like 10% in here, 1.33 times 10% is only going to be 13%, and you're still going to lose. You're still not going to hit, right? So that's kind of how it works. Now, I'm wildly oversimplifying it, but that's kind of how it works. So with these things, increase your accuracy. They increase the number out here, not the number inside the parentheses. The reason buildup works so well is because it increases the number inside the parentheses, so you're multiplying by a bigger number. You're multiplying 1.33 by a bigger number. And that's why things like buildup and focus chi and stuff work so very well. And that's why defense is so powerful, because it's subtracting out here. So we can calculate what we're doing to the enemy mobs with our defense, right? I always shortcut this by saying, for most enemies, I love that Midnight Grasp animation. For most enemies, right, the enemy they have a higher chance if they're not white cons, but they have a 50% chance to hit you, right? So their accuracy is usually 1 times their base to hit is 50 plus whatever buff they have if they don't have one, and I've got a 34% defense, right? Basically, they have a 16% chance to hit. If they have accuracy running, if they have a 2-hit buff running, if they have a defense debuff running, that number will be different. So accuracy can help you, but if they've got me down real low, right, we're going to be down to 48% to hit against something like that, 45% to hit against +3s. Right, so 1.33 times 45 is going to raise it to like 60? Well, exactly 60. But if they put any debuffs on me in there, it's going to be lower than that. Right? So that's where we're going to need 1.66. Right? With 2 accuracies, 1.66 times 45 would get us to 75, and then they put debuffs on me, I'm still in the 60s. Right? So that's kind of where we are, and that's why you struggle to hit if you go into +3s. And you've got to do something about that accuracy. Now again, I'm not giving you all the nuances. There are other elements to this. This is just sort of a quick and dirty way to quickly understand approximately how accuracy works. One of the things that I was looking at the wiki file last night just to make sure I was explaining it right. One of the things that the wiki file talks about is that players and developers, and even sometimes the game itself, will sometimes use accuracy and to hit buff and your chance to hit like this interchangeably as words, right? So they'll say I only have 87% accuracy against these guys, and that's not really accurate, right? And I often, when I'm talking about it, and I got into a huge argument with somebody on the Discord, and they were like, "You're not using it right," but I will often use here, get the wrong thing. Accuracy, right? We have accuracy times all this mess in here, right? The mess is what the accuracy is being multiplied by, right? If you scroll up here in the chat, right? Accuracy basic blah 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 blah, right? And if there's a bunch of hit buffs on you because you just pop focus chi, and defender just put a buff on you, and the target has a defense, and he's got a defense buff. There could be 10 or 12 numbers in this thing. That's the mess. I often refer to it as the base to hit. What I mean is the to hit without my accuracy bonus. But that's not really. The base to hit is whatever the basic thing is without any modifiers at all. And I know that, but sometimes what I'm trying to do is say, well, our base to hit has been killed, right? And it's not my base, it's whatever, it's constant against a given level, right? It's relative to your level. What's being changed is when the Spectre Demons hit you with that auto hit debuff that basically floors the mess inside here, so that your accuracy is being multiplied by 5. That's what I call they floored my base to hit. Now I haven't done anything to this base to hit. What they've done is they've floored the mess. Because if the floor and cap happen twice, but it happens inside here, this number cannot be smaller than 5 or bigger than 95, and then here, this number cannot be. So, yeah, it's a little more complicated than that. But yeah, and when I talk about, like, I remember somebody saying you can't have in the mess higher than a 95, and I'll say yes, you can, up to here, right? What I want to do is get this as high as I can get it, 175 if I can, because then they have to do a lot of subtracting to get this below 95. But again, the terminology is kind of confusing, and since I know it innately, I sometimes am sloppy about how I discuss it. But that's kind of how it works. I've explained that in previous series, but I've never explained it here. So when I talk about being floored, I mean with this whole number. That's what you're seeing here is the result of all of this. You can see other stuff, by the way, if you go in here. Accuracy bonus. That's not for individual powers, but across the whole character. And this, you see the clamp function, that's the flooring and sealing, right? Hit chance equals clamp player accuracy times power accuracy times clamp 2 hit minus target defense. The clamp keeps numbers between 5 and 95%. Please note that many powers incorrectly display that they are boosting accuracy when they really boost to hit, and we'll hopefully fix that at some point. So I don't know now, because I thought this boosted to hit. Here it says it boosts accuracy. Given that there's a mistake in here, right? It says this. Where was I looking at it? It doesn't want to show now here. Given that it says this, I don't know if it's been fixed. But that shows your accuracy bonus on the character outside of powers, right? So your player accuracy is gonna be multiplied by your power accuracy. So if we get a set that gives us plus 10%, and then our accuracy is 1.33, it'll be plus 10% of times 1.33. So it won't be just 1.43, it'll be more than that, right? So that's kind of the math of City of Heroes. So the clamp function is what they called it to restrict powers to the interval 5 to 95. And that equation where it shows 2 hit minus defense, that's the 2 hit with all of the modifiers. So your 2 hit, your base to hit, plus any bonuses you have, like build up, minus any debuffs on you. That's in one chunk. And then you subtract from that total the defense, and then any defense debuffs get added in there and stuff as well. So yep, that's how that works. The other wrinkle to this is that within the powers, these things are additive, right? So this is 33%. If you add a second one, it doesn't multiply, it adds. So 33 plus 33 would be 66. And then that gets added on to the powers thing. So you can see it here, right, with the 3 damage. Each damage is 33%. It adds up to near 100%. It's what? Yeah, plus 95%. Right? Plus 95%. So it's not quite 33 times 3 because there is this diminishing returns that starts to kick in after 2 enhancements and then really kicks in after 3. There's a lot of math to role-playing games, and especially so in City of Heroes. So we're going to take this guy out first because he will res. And then this guy, we'll just hit him a little bit. And then placate. He taunted me, by the way. If you just heard that, like, cling. I'm taunted, but it doesn't matter because I'm hitting him anyway. So that's fine. And I never really noticed them doing this to my scrappers because with the scrapper, you're boss killing anyway, so you just go hit the boss and he taunts you. And I didn't notice and just beat him up until he's gone, and then the effect goes away, so I never really noticed it. But with Nightmare Last, when I was doing a lot of target switching, it wasn't letting me switch targets. And it was because I was like, why isn't it? I thought I was bugged. You can see it. It's in one of the videos. I thought I was bugged. And then I realized, oh, I'm taunted. Like, it took me, I think it happened once or twice, and I'm like, what is going on? Why am I not able to switch targets? And I tried clicking on another target, and it wouldn't let me. I'm like, what's going on? And then I realized, oh, I'm taunted. Oh, cool. I've taunted other people, but I taunt the villains all the time, but I rarely been taunted. And then when I realized, well, this type of enemy seems to taunt, I realized, oh, I must have been taunted as Silver Phoenix. And I went back and watched some of my older videos, and I found out, yeah, I was. I just didn't notice it because I was fighting them anyway, so why would I care? But the Kree tanks are tankers, right? And tankers can taunt. So they can taunt. Okay. So we still haven't found the files yet. All right, so things have been going okay. So I don't have, I don't have, I have accuracy. I do not have another recharge. I'm going to take this off. Let's see how our attack chain goes with that off. It should be fine. It's only 3/4 of a second. Let's just see how it goes. If I have to, I can always replace that. Still going double accuracy, we'll just do double damage instead of triple. Because I don't want to miss. Yeah, we're fine. There's always at least 2 powers up. That's good. I like that. It gives me a choice. So we have a closed attack chain even without that, so we don't need it. We don't need the recharge on Midnight Grasp. It's fine. Right? I don't need it to run over and over again. This is not a regular scrapper. A dark melee scrapper, their 2 best attacks would be generally Shadow Maul and Midnight Grasp. And that's going to be your big hit. But this is our big hit now. So we don't have to worry about that. These guys will probably aggro. That should be fine. We're going to take the medic out, though, because... Look at that. I almost one-shotted him with Midnight Grasp. When that's enhanced, it will do that. So awesome. I'm almost wondering, how did they allow this scrapper to have Midnight Grasp and Assassin's Eclipse? They're, like, having both of them? That almost seems OP. The Stalker. Alright, we'll just punch him. I don't care. 75 to hit, and we still missed a lot. Missed again, 75. Missed again, 75. You see all that? Deflected. That means now he's got his defenses on, right? So now we're subtracting 40 or something. So now if we pump accuracy, we should get a little better. Yeah. Let's placate. So you can see what happens when they turn their defense on. Not resistance, but defense. Right? It forces you to stand in there longer. Whiffing and whiffing and whiffing. And that is what can get you killed. What do we got here? So let's try to make sure we take this guy out in one shot, so we don't have to whiff. And I've seen it sometimes with these guys. You get them to a sliver like that, they turn on their defense, and if they're +3s or +4s or something, you whiff 3 or 4 times on a sliver, which is really frustrating. I'd like some endurance, please. Missing again, a 90% chance to hit. Oh, come on! Look at this. Was it 3 misses in a row on a 75% to hit? Okay, back to Gordon Stacy. So we'll head 2 bricks down. So yeah, really, I guess we could say it this way: 2 hit equals accuracy times base plus buffs minus defense, or the game decides you miss. That's what it feels like. Sometimes that's the accuracy, and sometimes the game just decides you miss. I feel like that in other games sometimes too. I've been playing this, like Lock and Load Digital and some other strategy games that I've mentioned, and man, I got to tell you, I've been playing. I played this one scenario. I've lost it like 3 or 4 times. Right, you're rolling a d6, and like for instance, the morale. If your unit is shaken, you got to roll 2d6 and roll under your morale in order to recover from shaken. And I had a unit get shaken at the beginning of the fight. It's an 8-turn battle. They were shaken on the first turn. They rolled 2d6. Their morale was 6. So they had to roll 2d6 and roll under 6. Just once to get unshaken. 8 times in a row. They never did. There are lots of times when it's like, gosh, if I just roll anything over a 1, I will eliminate this enemy unit, and I roll a 1. Or if I roll anything over a 1 or a 2, I'll eliminate this enemy unit, and I roll a 2. I feel like it happens a lot in that game, too. I will say with that game, though, it feels like it's happening, but it apparently isn't, because they do actually post your average rolls in each round at the end, something like that. And I've looked at them, and it's like, it looks okay. You know, I feel like I lost every initiative, but at the end they'll tell you how many initiatives you won and lost, and it's almost always 3 and 5, 4 and 4, 5 and 3, right? So it's actually pretty close to what you would expect for randomness. It's very hard when you're playing a game and you have a goal, right? And you're trying to judge, are the rolls really random, or are they really going against me? Well, it always feels like the rolls are going against you because you don't notice when they go toward you, because you kind of expect that. I expect to hit with this character because we hit 75, 80% of the time, right? So I expect to hit. So I notice it when I miss. And I don't think that's not confirmation bias. That's something else. I can't remember the name of that. When you notice the rare event that you notice because you don't want it, or it annoys you, or what have you. I remember talking about this with my colleagues just recently. There's been a lot of discussion in our department about how to prevent students cheating on exams and proctoring exams and stuff. And the one professor said he feels like we're overdoing this, and he said, just can you guys, we were doing this on Zoom because our building was out of power and we had to do it from Zoom from home instead. And he said, can people just put in the chat, what percent of students do you think are actually cheating or trying to cheat on your exams? And I put in 5% max, right? Like in a class of 30, there are 1 or 2 people trying to cheat. It's not the whole class. And what he kind of was, the point he was trying to make, I think, although almost nobody else put their numbers in the chat, I think the point he was trying to make was, do we need to engage in all these measures and come down like a ton of bricks and actually have this fundamentally antagonistic relationship with the students now that we're trying to catch them all cheating and stuff? Do we need to do that? Have extra proctors in the room, which signals to the students we don't trust you? Do we need to do all of that when 95% of the students are behaving themselves, right? He said, because in the discussions we've been having for the last year, it seems to him like everybody's cheating all the time everywhere. That for the amount of hand wringing we do about it, it's like every like 10, 15 students are cheating on every exam every single day, right? Every single time there's an exam. And he said, but that's not been his experience, nor has it been mine. And he said, do we really need to be this hardcore about it when it's just a handful, like a really small number of students? It happens, once or twice a semester in each class, if that. Is that something that we really need to focus on like that? Given that being that suspicious of the students openly to the students with extra proctors and, really coming down on the whole class, it kind of tells everyone we don't trust them when in fact we trust 95% of them, right? And why are we spending so much time? Like, a big chunk of every single department meeting is about cheating. And he said for the amount he sees it, and I agree, me too, it sounds like an awful lot of time to spend on this rare event. But the thing is, when somebody cheats, it's noticeable, right? You don't expect to see it, but when you see it, it's noticeable. And if you see it in 2 or 3 different circumstances in the same semester, you start to feel like the whole class is cheating when, it's definitely not. And if you see a few misses in a row, you start to feel like you're constantly missing when in fact you're not. I'm not sure the name. If anybody knows it, post it in the comments. I'm not sure the name of that phenomenon that he was talking about. But I remember saying that to my dean at one point, right? We were talking about it, and like the sense I had was, man, this class is just awful. They're all, not the whole class, but I like a lot of my students. It felt like a lot of my students were not being good the one semester, like in this one particular class. And what I realized was, actually, when I went and did the numbers, actually most of them were fine. Right? The average was 75. The majority of them passed. Most of them were fine. And what happened is there were 3 or 4 students in the class. It was a big class of like 60. And there were 3 or 4 students who were not doing what they were supposed to. One of them plagiarized. One of them was never coming to class, missing exams, trying to get makeups, right? There were 3 or 4 students pulling shenanigans, and then 55 students, 56 students doing what they were supposed to. But because the 3 or 4 who weren't doing what they were supposed to do, and here's our first Paragon Protector boss, the people who were doing what they weren't supposed to do took up so much of my time and attention that by hours, it felt like the whole class was being bad, because that's how much time I was putting into it, and it was really just these 3 or 4 jokers. And I didn't realize it until the end of the semester when I looked at the numbers and said this class was way better than I felt like they were. And I realized it's because of these 3 or 4 troublemakers that consume every week. I was writing emails about one of them. I was talking to one of them in my office. I was dealing with one of them. So from my perspective, nonstop, I'm dealing with bad students, right? With students who are doing shenanigans. But in reality, the overwhelming majority of them aren't. And I think the chair of our department has that. Every week there's somebody in her office dealing with a cheating issue. So 15 times a semester, it feels like it's happening all over the place. But there are 300 or 400 students in our, 200 students, 250 students in our department. So if she's only dealing with 15 cheaters, that means there's 235 people who are honest, right? It's not the majority of the department, but it can feel like it is. And same thing here. It's not the majority of the missing that I do, but it can feel like it is. Now, this is going to be a tough fight. We have to take the medic out. If it was anybody else, we could leave it. This guy's going to heal him. We don't want this guy healing. He is a boss. He will go into moment of glory, and I will walk away. Unfortunately, in this mission, it means I'm going to have to walk out the door. But I am not fighting him when he's under moment of glory. So, we'll take this guy out first. And then we're going to placate him. We'll get him down as low as we can. Our 2 hit on him right now is 87, it looks like. Give or take. Placate. Assassinate. He's going to go into moment of glory at some point. If I was smarter about this, I would have one-shotted him. Yeah, I just missed it. If I was smarter about it, let me just show you guys. 6% to hit. So he has me floored inside here, and then my accuracy is multiplying it by 1.3. There's no point. You cannot hit them. So we're going to go outside. There were some guys out here. Let's see. They're yellows. Let's just fight these guys. And then after we finish them, we'll go inside and deal with him. Oh, let's get out of the debuff. Let's get out of the... Oh, the constant. So this is 3 lieutenants. So this is a good challenge. And then by the time we're done with these guys, he should be done. Ah, the AoEs are so annoying. Not that it really matters, because I'm one me. Why are they... Oh, did he taunt me? Ah, so there you go. Invalid targets because he taunted me. Get some health back. Okay, there we go. Yeah, fighting 3 of these guys is a good challenge. I like it. Alright. Hopefully he's out of MOG by now. He shouldn't see us. He should have de-aggroed. So that was... So I made a mistake. What I should have done was placated him at like 1/3 of his hit points, because he goes into Moment of Glory when it's really down. So I should have placated him here and then assassinated him. And I might have been able to get him. I think he's still under Moment of Glory here. But we'll try. Got him. Yeah, he wasn't under Moment of Glory, because that would have been like 12%. So what he does is, his defense is so insane that even though my base to hit... What level was he? He was red, so he was +1 to me, right? So my base to hit on him was 65% here, right? And he pulled me down so far, at least 60. I didn't have this running, right? So he pulled me at least... Maybe I did have this running. I don't remember, but he pulled me at least down 60 to 5%, and then 1.3 times got me to 8 or 6 or whatever. That's why they're not worth fighting, because they can floor you. Okay, medic goes first because he heals. Yeah, so that was an unfortunate... that was an unfortunate spawn because it had the medic with him. If anybody else was with him, other than maybe the radiologist, I would have hit him and ignored the medic, the other spawn, but the other mob. But because it was a medic, I didn't want them healing him while he was under Moment of Glory, right? Because then you don't want that. Yeah, so what I have to do with these guys is hit them normally without the build-up, I think. Get them to about 1/3 of their hit points. Then placate, build up, and hit them with the Assassin Strike while placated. Try to take them all the way down so that they don't trigger Moment of Glory. Different from the Crate Protectors, who seem to trigger their force field much earlier. So I don't know that you can take them all the way down before they trigger that. Yeah, so I don't know what it's like for player characters anymore because they nerfed it, but Moment of Glory, yeah, that used to be like sick in terms of the defense you could put on it. Even without enhancing it, I think it started out at least at 50% defense. And it also gives you resistance. It gives you both defense and resistance. I hear a glowy over here. We need to find the file. I don't know where that glowy is. Can you imagine from the perspective of these guys, because you're completely invisible? This guy's standing here, there's no one else here but his lieutenant. All of a sudden, that guy goes down and she appears. I would bet that would be very scary. Nothing in here. No? Okay. I don't know where that other glowy is. It might be on the other side of the wall. I'm not sure. So I'm 87% against these guys, but he had me to 47%. So it's not exact, but that means he had about a 40 defense. Alright, so we need to go in there. But there's definitely a glowy on this floor, so I need to find it. Where did I hear it? Over here? Yeah, over here. It's loud right here. Where else could it be? Okay, so there's... this. Here it goes. Okay. I knew I missed something. I always miss something. Right, guys? Okay. So this map is original to the game, and how do I know that? Because back when we were in 30th level or so, a couple months in, my friend, the good Rob, who's playing a character named Facade, it turned out he was somebody who had been working for the Grey, and he broke away from his programming. And we were in this room, and he claimed that these things were where they were storing all the data that they had been spying on us. And so we came in here and did a bunch of AoEs and spammed our powers. There were no villains in here, and roleplayed that we were destroying the data that they had from spying on us. It was pretty cool, actually. We kind of ran our own storylines for our roleplay group. So my one friend, so the original theme of the super group wasn't one that I actually wanted, but what the group agreed on was they were all ex-villains who had been rehabbed, and there was this sort of, in Galaxy City, I think, there was, maybe it was Alice Park, I think it was Galaxy City, there was this sort of very odd judge, like very kind of eccentric judge, who he would sentence villains that he thought were reformable to service as heroes. They were sort of basically doing community service. So all of them had been caught and had gone to the Zig, and they had wait, no. I meant to stop myself. Build up was just coming up, and I was going to just do it to one-shot him, but that's alright, he's done. The judge said, if you go to jail for so many years, or you can spend 1 year of community service basically cleaning up Paragon City and fighting villains. So my character was a former Hellion. Because in beta I had only really encountered Skulls and Hellions, because I only got to like 9th level or something in beta. Oh, they saw me from up there. Come on down. And so my best friend, he made a Dark Defender, Dark, and called her Eidolon, and she was basically, what I didn't realize, I thought he just liked the name Eidolon, but what I didn't realize, because I hadn't fought the Vajjalok that much, he had fought them, and he had fought some like luminous eidolons and stuff. So he was an eidolon that had like rebelled from Vajjalak. His character, she was an eidolon who had rebelled from Vajjalak, and he definitely gave her like white skin and made her look like an undead kind of. And then um, this other guy, Facade, his character was actually a former Cray, um, but he was actually still working for the Cray. And during the role play, we discovered that he was actually spying on us, quote unquote, for the Cray. And then he finally admitted it and told us the truth, and then brought us into, quote unquote, a Cray lab. So what he did, the player waited until he got a mission. Gosh, I don't even know if we were in our 30s. Maybe we were in our 20s. But I guess we were in our 30s. He waited until he got a mission like this where he had a Cray, find the Cray computers or whatever. And what we role played, purple boss, not a medic though, so that's good. What we role played was that we were coming in here to like clean out our personal information that they had identity stolen from us. Right? They'd done like identity theft on us or whatever. So you're coming in here to clean it out. It was pretty fun. So a lot of the players had characters like this. The one guy made up a gigantic, like he was basically a clockwork boss that had rebelled from the clockworks. So a lot of us took the villain groups from the game and made a hero that had a lot of their powers. And that was actually really fun. Let me have your endurance before you go. Thank you. Now you can go. And I'm not going to use up Placate or anything on this guy because we have that boss to deal with. See how he's got me down to 35%? I'm going to have to pull him over here because I don't want to get the boss involved. Jeez. Yeah, we're going to need those accuracy enhancements, and we're going to need focused accuracy. Because whatever you're seeing up here would be 10% worse if they were another level above. So this is a +2 boss. Where is he? Right there. Alright. So how are we going to handle this? I think we're not going to build up. Man, I wonder if I could pull this guy away from him. I don't want to chance it. This guy is irrelevant. We're going to try to do some extra damage. Let's go with the extra accuracy. We're not going to do build up. We're going to pull him down to really low hit points, and then I got to try to time it so that I can get him down low enough. I'm going to move over this way so I can shadow maul both of them. So I'm going to try to... Oh, no. I got him too low. Shoot. He's going to Moment of Glory. Yeah. I got him too low. That was a mistake. 6% chance to hit. He's going to run away. That's fine. We still need to find a file. So let's look for the file while he's playing around. What did I miss? So there must be another glowy that I missed. Did I really see any spots here where it could be hidden? Sorry, had a little bit of a cough there, but I was able to mute it for once. And this is the entrance. Huh. Unless we have to defeat him to find the linked file? Not sure. Yeah, I don't hear any glowies. There's nothing under the stairs or anything, is there? Nope. We did this one, right? Yeah. It's not glowing anymore. How about over here? Under the stairs over here? I don't see it. Oh. Well, duh. I even marked it. We've got to go down that elevator. Okay. He should be alright now. Not too bad. But yeah, as I clicked this, I was like, no, it's going to do a crit and it's going to take too much damage off of him, and it was too late. I had seen that it had turned orange. Alright, so one more. Hopefully we'll get another Paragon Protector in here. I'll see if I can... I'm going to have to practice with it to see to get it to the exact right amount of hit points that he doesn't go under Moment of Glory, but I can take him all the way down with a single shot. Because even if I mistime it and give him a sliver, he will go straight into Moment of Glory, and that's going to be the end of it. So the other thing I want to say is, so if you see deflected, right, if we go down here, what this means is that you would have hit if not for this, right? So your base to hit might have been 75, right? And you roll, and he's got 20 defense, which brings you down to 55, right? If you roll between a 55 and a 75, you missed, but you missed because of his defense, and it'll say deflected instead of miss. And that was put in because players were complaining about missing, and they thought it was bad rolls, and what the developers were like, no, you would have hit, but they've got a defense going, which is why you missed. There were lots of people complaining that they thought that that there was something wrong with the random number generator. But again, I think it's a lot of similarity to the faculty complaining all the students are cheating. It's not all of them, it's just a few. The thing is, when you catch a student cheating, it is not a trivial matter, right? It's actually very stressful for the students hate it, right? But it's actually very stressful for the faculty member, because now I have to deal with it, right? I have to submit a report. I have to tell the chair. The chair has to tell the dean. Like, it can be a huge mess. The student's going to deny it. And now it's like you're in almost the equivalent of it's not a municipal court or anything, but you're almost in the equivalent of a court case. He said, she said, right? It's just so messy. And nobody wants to fail students. Nobody wants to give them zeros, right? We want them to pass, right? We don't get into this field to fail people, and we're probably going to have to fail them because they cheated, and we don't want to have to do that. Like, it's just so ugly, and the student's going to say, you're stopping me from graduating, right? Like, it's just such a miserable thing. Nobody wants to catch anybody cheating. It's like an absolutely horrible experience for any faculty member. And as a consequence, there's no glowies in here. As a consequence, nobody wants to have it happen to them. I'm going to try to pull. I might be able to do a punch pull. I just don't want to get the boss involved, but I want them out of there. So, because it's such an objectionable experience to catch and deal with a cheater, right? Just so unpleasant. It's magnified in your mind, right? You catch one person and have to deal with it, and now you're just miserable for weeks, possibly, as a faculty member, depending on what happens. Because the student will turn it back on you, right? They'll make you the bad guy for catching them, instead of them being the bad guy for cheating. Okay, we're going to try this. If it fails, we're going to go look for the glowy on the other level. She shouldn't be a problem. Let's see if I can do this right this time. Assassinate. Okay. Gotta be careful with Shadow Maul, because it does a lot of damage. Midnight Grasp. Okay, he did Dull Pain there. That's okay. Maybe he doesn't have Moment of Glory. They don't all have it. This one might not. Let's try it. Build up. Assassinate. I don't know if it's going to do enough. Nope. Yeah, it didn't do enough. I didn't pull him quite down far enough. It's really hard to judge by eye. And that Dull Pain made it even harder to estimate. Right? Why? Because this bar, right, for me, represents 970. Right? The length of the bar. And each chunk down, right, if this is 970 pixels long, each pixel represents a hit point. But if I do Dull Pain and it goes to 1200 hit points, then each pixel represents less than a hit point, so it becomes harder to judge. At least for me. Let's go get the glowy and then we'll come back. Because we got to go fight that boss too. And I don't want to take too much time because then it'll heal and it'll all start over again. Where's the glowy? Over here. Okay, we'll fight these guys. But you can see why somebody in my comments like a month ago said most hated enemies, Cray. Right? It's not these guys. Nobody cares about these guys. It's the Paragon Protectors. And the Moment of Glory. Like, it happens every time. You know what's going to happen, and even when you're trying to prevent it, it's almost impossible to do. Okay, we completed the mission, and I'm not going to worry about these guys, but we are going to go finish that boss off. Where's the elevator? This way. These guys are chumps, and I'm not going to worry about them, but we will go take the boss. Because he's good XP, and because, yeah, we're going to finish him off. So where was he? To the left? Right? Correct? You should be out of it now. Yeah. Okay. And Gordon Stacy says, thanks for the job. Okay, been way over an hour, so we're going to stop here, guys. I hope you've enjoyed. Hopefully the accuracy lesson helped a few people if you weren't sure how to hit works in City of Heroes and accuracy versus to hit versus debuffs and all that. Hopefully this little bit of baby math that we did was helpful and not too confusing. And I hopefully I didn't get it too by simplifying it. I didn't make it for people who really know the details. They might complain that I simplified it a little too much. Hopefully it was thorough enough that it helped people who needed it and didn't aggravate the people who know the details. And until next time, I am Scrapper Lock, and this has been Soloing the Stalker on City of Heroes.